It's been 24 hours. It's finally starting to sink in. It really happened. It wasn't a dream that I had. I'm not about to wake up and realize that I'm still Mithril 10 and I've got to do that last push with 3 hours sleep. That part was over, the nightmarish part. Honestly, once it was over, like at the time, I was just so tired. Like I didn't, it didn't really seem like it had happened. I was more relieved than anything. I was just so tired. It was unbelievable. I was absolutely knackered. But now that I've looked over the footage and I've gone through all the videos before uploading them, I realised that there wasn't really a video at the end, or at least at the end of the run where I reached champion. There wasn't anything that really brought it together. And a large part of why I made the playlist in the first place was so that I could work through the reasons that I was doing things, why I was doing them, just to keep a record of exactly how the run would go, what I'd learned from the run, what I'd learned to do better next time, or what I did extremely well this time that perhaps I'd want to do just from now on. Any good, I don't want to say training habits or grinding habits, but any good habits that I had, or ways that I handled myself, or that I approached matches that I'm quite proud of. The first thing I noticed really, more than anything, is watching the videos of me at Mithril 1 compared to Champion. There, like, clearly, if nothing else, you can say that the grind from Mithril to Champion improves you as a player. Some of the mistakes in those first videos when I was at Mithril 1, you look back at them and it's like you're looking at a different person altogether. I couldn't quite believe, although honestly, even in the videos later on, even in the last video where, I'm beating Flockle and, I'm making it past Myth and so on, you see the mistakes because you're relaxed, you're sort of like sitting back in your chair, you're not stressed out or tired or anything. And you're like, wow, like I really didn't play that well. Like the run was not quite as glorious as I thought it was. It was actually a very gritty mess of a run, where I was really just trying to keep it together. It does feel great though. I mean, I'm unranked. I haven't actually played a game this season yet, but I mean, I can say for sure though, I'm here. Like it actually happened. I legit made it. There I am. Champion for life. Apparently, when you have a match, my name is now purple forever. So I did it. I've got the medal. I actually did it. I can't believe I did it. I especially can't believe I did it considering the ending. That Rhino switch over to season 3 was just ridiculous. So I'm just gonna go through my history. I think that's the easiest way, right? Because this is supposed to bring it all together. Like this is just a quick video to talk about the run and sort of my biggest realizations from the run. Also, reasons that maybe I won against players who I clearly am not better than. So why did I win against them? Things like that. It's really just to cogitate. It's supposed to help me. It's a selfish video. I think most of these videos are selfish. It's me talking to myself about what I did right and wrong so that I can try and be a better player. The first thing is I am extremely proud of the way we started. Like this was Mithril 1 right at the start. And I pretty much just went into Discord and I was like, please push back the patch. Everything has changed. Well, I've got 4 days to go and I need no challenge me to go from Mithril 1 to Champion. No patch. Like that's too much craziness. It will throw too many things up in the air. Stop all patches for a year. I can't deal with this. And I think that's also one of my biggest mistakes. Because Myth had been DMing me and just saying, he'd only just made it to champ and he was dying to gatekeep someone. And even now, I'm like, why did I do that? I messaged Myth and, I didn't call him out so much, but I just was going, well, Myth, you want to gatekeep someone, here's your chance. Because I'm not I'm not pretending that I'm not serious about this. I'm gonna go for it. Like I'm really gonna make a full attempt at this challenge. I'm not joking. So if you gatekeep me, you're gonna gatekeep me for real. Like you actually genuinely kept someone out of champion. And I'm not gonna mess around either. When I play you, I'm really gonna try and just destroy you. I can't afford anything else but to just try and win every single match. Doesn't matter who it's against. So if you want to gatekeep, this is it. Just why did I do that? It was so silly. You can see that actually we started quite well. Like Madka and Myth were online. I'm right at the beginning, and because it had only just started, I don't think they were really try harding or actually trying to gatekeep or anything at the beginning. You know, it was just this crazy thing. But within the first 5 matches, we played four champion matches, and we won 3 of them, which I think is an excellent start. But like I said, I just think it was stupid of me to sort of say, Myth, gatekeep me. Why would I do that? I've just made the run so much harder for myself. And when we get towards the end of the run, Myth beat me. He came out of left field. Apparently Tempest had been playing a deck on stream. It's now what I call the GM deck because GM has been playing it. It's this Kadeho Orpheum deck. And the deck is legit. I didn't know that at the time. I just thought it was like this janky deck. Myth afterwards was on Discord after beating me, saying, "Oh my god, like I managed to beat him with. I actually managed to beat him with like this janky thing that Tempest was playing." We now know that the deck was legit, but at the time, I was like, "Oh, this is fantastic." I've actually made it to Mythril 10, and Myth is playing some jank, and it is demolishing my spirits. But he was actually trying to hunt me. Like, he met me twice. There's a reason for that. It's because he was actually, at the end, Myth was actually trying to gatekeep with this Kideho deck. And just why did I announce it in the first place? I should have just stayed quiet about the whole thing, and perhaps I might have gotten through this a lot easier. I certainly wouldn't have had Myth chasing me through sort of through the end when I really sort of needed an easier road. So that was very, very stupid. Like I said, I'm just gonna go through the run and then talk about how I felt during the run or things that I was doing during the run, times that I was tilted, perhaps why I was tilted. So I started extremely well, Madka, Myth, and then Chang'an, Myth for a 3rd time. And the streak is pretty solid, and I still maintain that I could have made it to champion if I had more time with yellow, green, orange. It's just I had 4 days to go, so this changes. But at least for right now, I'm playing yellow, green, orange. And I beat Mal Gaines, but then Mal Gaines beats me because he's a champion, and because I'm Mithril 1, the RP is also extremely good. We're doing just fine. This worried me. Logic trucking us, not because it's Logic. It's because he was playing red orange, and this was the day before the patch, 2 days before the patch. And I was thinking, oh no, we're going to see so much red orange. The fact that we just lost to red orange, this isn't great. But as it is, a large part of this is sort of this is all pre-patch, and then similar to Malgains where we beat him and then we lose. So it's 50%, but it's against a champion player. I'll take that. We beat Tune and then we play Clash and then we play Tune again and we lose 50-50. But the notable thing is sort of I beat them the first time, but then maybe the sign of a good player, but they then adapt and the second time I lose. I lost to Malgains the second time, I lost to Tune Star the second time. I lost to Myth. It took him 3 attempts, not 2. But then he really got his own back towards the end and scared the hell out of me. Bad as well. I played bad, but this is the sign of a champion. Perhaps they were able to adapt, and I think this sort of shows a lot of the difference between me at the start of the run and me at the end. Because at the start of the run, this happens a lot. We beat someone and then we get beaten, and then this is where the patch starts coming through. And it's throwing things in the air. I don't know what to do. We don't have a lot of time to sort of sit back and try and make sense of the situation. We're sort of stuck in ranked, but we're also really, really struggling. And it's going pretty bad. Step your game up. I'm pretty sure that I was largely responsible for getting Step Your Game up to Mithril in the end. That was not good for the ego, for sure. And then this happens, and this is largely because the patch has happened. This is on the day of the patch, I think, but NKL comes out with his Amber Control deck. And it's exactly what we're looking for. Right now, we're looking for inspiration. I still think, even with this, like I'm on a losing streak here. The reason that I'm on a losing streak is because I'm tilting, not so much because we're losing, because I still have absolute confidence that I could make it to champion with yellow, green, orange. It's because the games are taking so long. So I start playing badly, especially against Serengita, and well, Step Your Game Up actually is a pretty good example. The games were reaching 30, 40 minutes, and I was just losing it. Like I was getting so impatient. We could not climb fast enough. The patch had confused things so much. And then we were floundering basically. At this point, we were just trying to find some way of making sense of the patch, trying to adapt to it as quickly as we possibly could, because we were already under a lot of pressure. We were already in the cooking pot, and we needed to just really, really break down exactly what was working, where it was working. So we grabbed NKL's deck, mostly because everyone says NKL is a great player, and the deck looked solid. And then once we grabbed it, I mean, you can see, you know, MK White, Crimson Rash, Silver Arrow, Swamplaw. So apart from the run itself, that's 4 champions in a row. And then I met NKL. So I beat 4 champions in a row. Then I lost NKL. But I could forgive myself. I think that was also an important part of the run. Is I was able to not tilt. Because when I lost, I could forgive myself for losing in certain ways, or in certain matchups, and even when I played badly or I made a mistake, I just didn't have the time to be tilted or angry or upset or frustrated. Sometimes I couldn't help it, and you know, I was really frustrated and I was struggling. But a lot of the time, I managed to stay on an even keel and just keep my calm, and play the match that I'm currently in. I lost last match. I made a stupid mistake last match. Okay, it happened. It's already happened. I can't go back in time. There's no point worrying about it. So I lost to NKL, but I'm still feeling extremely good. I'm not tilted. It's his deck. He knows exactly how it's supposed to run. He knows exactly what he's supposed to do. He knows exactly what he's supposed to do in the mirror match. So I'm still feeling okay. I'm just trying not to play NKL. You know, and then, you know, Just Mike, Error Bear. Then we meet Near, and in some ways to NKL, I'm still not tilted from this loss to Near, because Near is playing red-green and we're playing yellow-red, but both of us sort of have greedy control style decks. The problem is that Near gets all his Ica Feasts and his Raid the Tombs in the top half of his deck and just loads his hand. I mean, in the replay he's got 7, 8, 9 cards in hand, and all of our card draw seems to be at the bottom of our deck. But basically, you know, we're just trading 1-for-1 with him. He's throwing down stuff. We're just trading blow for blow, you know. But he's got so many cards in hand, you know, he's just constantly throwing more and more on the board. And eventually we can't keep up and we lose. And I think this was one of the few times, you know, I mean, my win rate against Nier is terrible. But this is one of the few times that I've lost to Nier. And I haven't felt like I lost to Nier, if you know what I mean. I really feel like if the situation had been reversed and I'd had all the card draw and he hadn't been able to greed his way, because the matchup to a large degree was just who can be greedier. You need to greed because, you know, I have stuff like Panaceas in the deck, I have the Clay Effigies. You don't get punished for being greedy in that matchup. You know, there is 2 control matchups. Nothing's really happening. You have to ramp up to when things are really happening. And by the time that happened, you just had the cards in hand. So if the situation had been reversed, I feel like I would have had a genuine chance in that matchup. I didn't lose. So I'm still staying pretty strong. You know, Silver Arrow on Eric, we're still feeling good. And then I did tilt here. This is where I finally tilted, because it went 2 Thacker, Ninja Man, 2 Thacker, Enter, 2 Thacker. I had to stop the session. I could not get rid of this guy. Like, he just would not leave. I was trying everything. Like, quite literally, I had him on social. I lost to him the first time, and I realised that his Necromantic deck was a really bad matchup for us. And also that Tufaka himself is just way out of our league. The only way we were going to get to champion is by being honest with ourselves. And I knew that Tufaka was just poison. Like, I could not deal with it. Could not deal with him at all. So I'm on the social, he's online, and even as the video's going and recording, I'm like, you know what? I'll wait 5 minutes for him to get into a match. He doesn't get into a match. So eventually, I'm going, okay, well, I lost to him, but he's online, but he doesn't seem to be playing, otherwise he'd be in a match by now. So I enter ranked, I meet him again, and I'm getting, a little bit annoyed because I'm trying to climb so badly, and I know that his deck is a bad matchup for our deck, and I know that he is a player is so much beyond us and isn't being complacent in champion. He actually is really trying to still dominate and still climb. So it's just a matchup we don't want. It's terrible. So we lose to him. Because, we've just played him, you have protections. You don't instantly get set up into a match. I play enter and I get some of the RP back. Again, I come out though. Tufaka is online. I wait 10 minutes this time. He's still online, but he's not in a match. So I still can't work out how, if I was just like unbelievably unlucky, because if I'd faced enter and then instantly, pressed, gone play, gotten into a ranked match, other people were getting into ranked matches around us. On the social thing, I'm like seeing it. People getting into matches, one-on-one fights. He's staying online. He's not in any fights. And then, I see him again. I'm at this point, I'm tilted because I play him a third time. And I'm like, oh my, I need to stop. This is bad. So at that point, I absolutely, need to collect myself, try and calm down a bit. I went for a walk, reread the Ejecti article on Mithril to Champion. Sort of the things you're supposed to do. But I needed to do something, just sort of balance myself out. Because I couldn't afford to be frustrated. I just didn't have time to be frustrated or angry. The most I could afford was to go for a walk for 30 minutes. So 30 minutes later, Tufaka has disappeared, thank goodness, and we're back on it. That was all we really needed, was just 30 minutes to calm down, sort of balance ourselves, and we go on a reasonable streak here. It's Mithrils. We lose into champions. We beat Bad, which is great because we lost to him last time. Makes us 2-1 against Bad. But we're getting to the later end of the run as well. And the fact that we beat Bad is also sort of a hint that maybe we're also starting to improve ourselves in our ability to adapt to our opponents. Because, we beat them, then Bad adapted to what we were playing. But the third time we played him, I now had a good idea of what his deck was, and I played in a way that I thought would give me the highest chance of winning. And we did win, which I was happy with. At this point, I'm just going from Mithril 9 to Mithril 10. I'm bouncing up and down. I can't seem to solidify. Step Your Game Up has just beaten me over and over. Like I said, I think I'm solely responsible for getting to Mithril 1 in the end, because he was just beating on me. He was playing a lot of control, and the matches were long, and I felt that clock ticking. So at this point, after that, I lost, but I still felt okay. And then I went to sleep, and this is towards the end now. Shihaya to Kish, these are the last 7 matches, and this is quite literally. I checked on Discord. Everyone was saying, the rollover won't be for 12, 13 hours at least. It's supposed to be, oh, ironic. It's supposed to be when the rollover is, or maybe there's a lock and then it will happen. So I thought I had ages, and then just by a stroke of luck, I slept for 3 hours, and then I just quickly jumped on Discord to just find out if there'd been any other messages, if anyone else knew anything about the rollover at all, just so I could try and time it. And I thought I got it perfect. I was going to sleep for 7 hours, and then I had another 5 or 6 hours just to get this one rank from Mithril 9/10 to champion, and that was perfect. But like I said, I had 3 hours sleep. I suddenly got on Discord. People are saying, no, there's a lock. You know, it doesn't stop at the rollover. It actually gets locked before that. It'll get locked like an hour or two before that. And I realised I really had to like jump on my bike and get back to it. Because of this jumping up and down, actually the Shihaya win was bigger than it looks, because we're winning and losing to Mithril 2s, Mithril 3s. We got to win against large nuggets, Mithril 7. But these are matches we should be winning by rights. Like the matches we should be struggling with are the champion ones. These should be the gimme matches, and I was just struggling to beat Mithril 1s and 2s, who are great players, but we're trying to get into champion. This just isn't acceptable, and I really sort of needed something to reaffirm my belief, I suppose you could say. But yeah, I mean, the win against Shihaya, because of this just before it, meant I could take a moment and just go, okay, this is a champion player. We have beaten a champion player. The deck is fine. We're fine. This isn't great. We're tired, but we are capable of doing this. Myth comes out of left field. I've already talked about it, but he's playing the I mean, I'll call it the GM Kideho Orpheum Snakes deck, but I'm not sure if it's GM who came up with it. Like I said, people were saying in Discord that Tempest was playing it on his stream. I don't know if he came up with it first or he was trying a deck that GM told him to play. Whatever it was, suddenly Myth comes in, and at this point we're at low Mithril 10 or so, and just sideswipes us with this deck. And I'm thinking, oh, this is not. Myth is apparently taking his gatekeeping duties seriously. But I can't really afford, we just don't have enough time to be tilted by it or even worried. Like, on an intellectual level, I was thinking, oh no, he's gatekeeping. The other part of me was like, well, we don't have time to do anything except try and learn from playing the deck once, because we need to get champion right now. So if we play him again, we just need to come up with quick, efficient solutions. We need to adapt very quickly. We just don't have time to do anything else. We have to adapt. We've got no other choice. So I'm playing fine. These last 5 matches, of course, streak of 5. The most notable really is that, we played Myth again, and we'd only seen the deck once, and I'm really quite proud that after only seeing it once and being as tired as we were capable of making adaptations. We didn't do brilliantly, I'm sure, there were tons of players that could have done better. But in the moment, we were capable of breaking down the deck and saying, look, we really don't have a choice. We need to beat this deck. How do we do it? What are our win conditions? And it led to us making moves that I wouldn't have normally made. I realised very quickly from the loss last time that Wings of Abaddon suddenly greatly increased in value, and a single Olama ring, not 2 Olama rings, but a single Olama ring was actually extremely important as well. Also, Ica Feasts were almost next to useless because of the reach. Ica Feasting, losing any health at all just wasn't on the cards. I had to take Kadehos off as quickly as possible. So Wings of Abaddon really increased in value at the time. First Olama ring as well. And then we had our basic control tools in Amber, such as the Misanthropias and the Wonder Drugs and the Gigantomachias. But I realised the Gigantomachia as well was useless, or it was going to be next to useless, so I burnt it early on, I think, because I was able to identify that in this particular matchup against this deck, just from like I said, oh yeah, I'm just happy. You know what? This is my video about me. I think it was amazing. Why not be proud of it? You know what? Maybe it is arrogant. I don't know. But I thought this win against Myth was a big deal. The match afterwards was sort of a big deal as well, but in the opposite direction. Beating Myth was sort of the ability to adapt, and it was a skill matchup almost. I think our deck was stronger than the Kadeho deck. or at least it matches up well to it. Not in that respect, but just the ability to adapt. Myth didn't adapt to our deck, but I'm not sure how we would have adapted specifically to our deck. M Flockle though was actually a mental matchup. It sounds weird to say that. It makes sense in this way. Afterwards, M Flockle was saying he missed lethal on stream or something like that. Like he had the opportunity to gatekeep me, but he accidentally missed lethal, you know, shake my head or whatever. And I realise that I'm not the only one under pressure because people are spectating these matches now. Things are actually getting really close to the end of the season. I might be the 100th champion. I might be the last person to get into champion this season. So people are suddenly spectating these matches. There's actually pressure to play well. And in the M Flockle match, it wasn't our ability to make adaptations. It was just the fact that the pressure we've been under for so long, for the last 4 days, where we needed to stay off tilt, balanced, not as calm as we possibly can. Like sometimes, you know, I definitely panicked. I was shaking. I was shaking when I played Madka for the first time. I've never really played Madka before. I was like, you know, my nerves were like really, really bad. I was trying the best I could, but the whole point is, you know, we were staying calm. It was a pressure situation, and people were spectating, and M Flockle sort of crumbled. And I'm sure that they normally don't. I mean, they're Mithril 6 in this. You know, they're clearly a great player, but I think in that moment with people watching, they just didn't deal with it very well. Whereas I was coming towards the end of my run, but I didn't even know if it was the end of my run. To a large degree, I was thinking, if we beat them, we beat them. If we don't, we don't. But we're just going to keep driving at this, like over and over and over again. I'm going to go until it's next season. I'm not going to stop. If I lose this match, I'm just going to forget. I'm just going to keep playing. It does not matter. If we've got 6 hours to play, I'm going to play all 6 hours. If we go down to Mithril 7, I'm just going to play. You know, until quite literally I cannot get champion. I'm just going to play. So, you know, I think this match was sort of dealing with pressure. Also, I think it was about heart. Like, I just had the heart. I just really wanted it. I'd been under pressure this entire time. I was exhausted. I was knackered, but M Flockle missed lethal, and I did not miss lethal. I finished it. So, and then the match against Kish, which, well, honestly, even as tired as I was, I'm pretty sure that Kish didn't care. I'm not sure. When I first got the match against Kish, you can hear me laughing in the video because I didn't realize he was online. I was following everyone. I was following all the champions on my social, so I could try and slip in between and find good matchups and just avoid absolute monsters like Nauka and Nier. You know, just I felt if we could just find strategic times to get into ranked, we could get good matchups. I was still expecting tough matches, but at least not impossible matches. And then when I played Kish, his name turned up on the screen, and I'm just laughing in the background because I'm like, oh my god, like I'm not even. I didn't know he was online. He just came out of nowhere. Like I didn't even know he was playing. I didn't see him on the match history or the action tabs either on ranked action. Like I was like, where is this? And I can say with full confidence that Kish is a much better player than us. And he's also a terrible matchup for us. His style does not mesh well. I can't understand him, to be honest. He likes complicated puzzles, clearly. He plays Disc of Sakaji decks, and like his mind just works in revolutions. I don't know, but I can never predict what he's going to do. It's just so hard to play him. So in some respects, I was thinking, in terms of skill, I know I'm not better than Kish, and if he wants to win, there may not be a lot I can do at this particular aspect in time. But I'm just going to like come in and work as hard as possible. But I sort of underestimated that Kish isn't. The only way I can phrase this is Kish never gave me the impression that he wants to win the ultimate trophy. Kish always makes me think he wants to make the ultimate deck. Like if he when he plays, I don't think he cares that much about running over his opponent or stomping his opponent. Kish has no interest in dabbing anyone or, you know, BM. He's in, like, what he gets from the match is more like he's almost fighting his own deck. He's not fighting you, he's fighting his own deck. He doesn't care about winning. And I think in the match, I really wanted to get to champion, and Kish was just didn't really mind that much. Like, if anything, I think because we're good friends, he was sort of rooting for me. I think he played a bit. I don't know. He did not play optimally. But I took it. Like, I don't, if Kish is going to do that, I'm going to take that. I don't care because, I've beaten Myth, I've beaten Oneric, I've beaten Tune. This is absurd. Like, his entire run. So I felt a bit, I don't know. I felt good about the win, but these last three matches were all different wins. Against Myth, it was the ability to adapt. Against them Flocker, it was just the ability to stay calm under pressure. And against Kish, it was just the ability to want to win. Like, and at this point, I could taste it. I was at 8 ERP or something, and I knew that if Kish really wanted, but he didn't. He didn't want it, and I will take that any day of the week. If you don't want to win, and I want to win, and I'll run over you, and I really wanted this challenge. So I just went straight through it. So I've talked about the run. I suppose I should really talk about my what I realized from this run. Like, what did I get from it? Biggest realizations, probably the diversity in champion ranks. There are champions, and then there are champions. Like, all of these players are fantastic players, and losing to any one of them is no great shame. I was absolutely completely proud of winning every single match. It didn't matter. Like, even these, silver fives. It doesn't, like, I was proud to play everyone, and when I won, it actually meant something. Like, it really meant something. When I lost as well, there's no great shame in losing to, Death or Malgain and stuff like that. But at the same time, like, when I was playing near, like, there are champions, then there are champions, and I think some champions scrape in like we did. Scrape is like a really rude way of, I don't know any other way of phrasing it. But yeah, I mean, I don't feel like a champion, honestly. Like, I got to champion, I sort of scraped into champion, but then there are champions, like, there is an ocean of difference. I think in the champion rank, there must be greater diversity than in any other rank. The difference from the bottom to the top, like, like Tempest near, they're just miles away. There is such a gigantic difference between us and them. I'm sort of glad though. It sounds sort of strange to say that, but it also reinforces that we've really only scratched the surface. Like, I don't feel like a champion, and part of that reason is because I feel like this is just like we've only just reached the tip of the iceberg. Like, I don't even think I've learned 1% of the game. There is so much left to learn. It's unbelievable. If someone said, what could you talk about? Not like are you an authority on, but what would you reasonably be able to talk about? I always reset my records. They're not really accurate, but maybe I could talk about yellow green, and maybe I could talk about yellow red. That's it. Those are the only two colours that I really know anything about. I've been playing for almost 300 hours, and I know nothing about this game at all. And that's amazing. Like, Mythgard is such an amazing game. Now that I can sit back and I can look at the run, but also look at the videos and me playing, and as I was trying to work out what other people are playing, working out what the meta is, I hope they don't drop the ball, because I spent most of my life not really playing collectible card games at all. And then I got into them like 7 months ago. I got into collectible card games like really late in life, clearly. Like, people have been playing them for like 15 years and stuff. I've been playing them for 7 months. I'm way out of my league. But I mean, I'm loving this. If collectible card games are like Mythgard, then maybe I should have been playing them all along. I'm so glad I'm playing Mythgard right now. Probably the second realization is don't leave it to the end. I had no intention at all of ever trying to go for champion for 90% of the season or anything. I was happy I made it to Mithril. Like, I was just thinking, wow, like I've only been playing collectible card games for 7 months. The reason I've made it to Mithril really is that I was very smart from day one. I knew that I needed as much help as possible. So I just ended up taking the top player, who at the time was Crueltech's deck, and I just net decked it. I just saved up all the essence, all the coins, all the card packs, and then I just straight took his deck. This is, I mean, I've got 2 archive decks, and one of them, Time to Learn. There's no, this is the start. This is like the very start of my journey, or whatever you want to call it. 36 and 8 isn't really representative. It was 36 and 8, but that was when I first started. And then, of course, as I started making experiments, it became Cruel TK, orange, blue, purple, whatever I was experimenting with, it became Cruel TK. But this is right at the beginning, and this is only the second deck I've archived. My beta season 2 deck, and oh my word, like, it shows the difference, right? Because this is not really representative. This is sort of me playing it right at the beginning. It's bronze and such, and it was 36 and 8. But that was going through bronze, silver. This was me playing with a great deck, but not being a great player. Learning the game, but just leaning on the deck. The deck did all the work. But 37 and 13. This is, if I hadn't made it to champion, it is not because of this deck. NKL has just created an incredible, like, this is full on nothing but ranked. All I did is I immediately went into ranked with it. I didn't have time to waste any well, I don't want to say, yeah, I just didn't have any time. I couldn't afford to go into casuals, mess around with it for 10-20 matches. I had to get it, learn it on the fly, which of course, I've already talked about my adaptations against Smith. Something else I'm proud of is just my ability to do that. It is stupid. I don't recommend that you should do that. I don't think you should flop around. I was quite literally telling Izzy in the Discord 5 days ago, because she was struggling to get to Mithril. Like, maybe the reason that you're not getting to Mithril is because you're playing canines, and then you're playing yellow-green, and then, you're trying Valks out. Like, you've tried 5 or 6 or 7 different decks. Any one of them could have got you to Mithril. I can say with absolute confidence as a Mithril player. Stop flopping around. Just stick to a deck and learn it. Just get good at that deck. Play it, play it, play it. It took me 150 hours of playing yellow-green before I made it to Mithril, and that's all I played, was I just played yellow-green. So that's how I got to Mithril. Like, just don't keep flopping around. But, then I got to this run, and yellow-green was too slow, and then the patch hit, and that just confused everything. It was mostly because we were a day behind. I was at work when the patch hit. After a 12-hour shift, I got back, but I was too tired to play. So I sort of just went to sleep. I thought that was the best thing to do. When I started playing in ranked again, though, a large part of that losing streak is because the patch is just hit, and I haven't seen the patch in action, around here. I haven't really seen the patch in action. Everyone else has got a day or two ahead of me. Different decks are coming out. There are changes all over the place. I've seen the patch notes. I know intellectually what the changes are, but I just haven't been able to internalize the changes. I was just a day behind on that one. Like, there wasn't a lot I could do. So I never really should have. I don't recommend doing that. I don't think you should do that. I think you can reach champion by just playing a deck and getting really good at it. I took that risk because I was trying to complete a challenge to get from Mithril 1 to champion. And I knew what I was doing. I knew full well that it could be a disaster, but I'd already made the decision that I would rather fight for my life and be brave and make the change, even if it looked stupid. Because with yellow-green, I was not going to make it to champion in time. And I'd rather go out in a blaze of glory and, like, fail miserably and just hate it for, like, the next 2 days, be frustrated and lose, but at least try rather than just walk away, because I wasn't going to make it with yellow-green. playing yellow-green from that point on would have been a cop-out. I didn't have any time to waste. If I was going to do it, I had to do it then. I had to just flip the switch. Okay, NKL has just come out with his deck. It's fresh for the patch. This is a deck that he's, endorsing. I've got to jump on it, and I'm just gonna have to learn it as I go. What else did I learn? Sort of connected to the point about Myth, where I was like, why did I do that? I could have made this run so much easier on myself if I'd just been humble and quiet. Like I was on Discord. Oh, Noah's set me a challenge. This is happening. That's happening. I says, patch notes. I need all the information. Everyone give me the information. I really need to climb, etc. But problem is, like, it became a bit of a media circus. Like suddenly people were like spectating games. There was actual pressure that there didn't need to be. But also, people were online, and I was feeling pressure that I didn't need to feel because they were online. If I just stayed quiet about the whole thing and just quietly got on about my business, I think the run would have been easier. I think the run would have been a lot easier. Okay, so based on what I've got from this run, what can I take from it? Like, what should my goals be for next season? Well, I think one of the clearest issues was, of course, we had to avoid people, and we've already talked about, there are champions, then there are champions. But we're not rushing now. We don't have to avoid people for the sake of efficiency, because we need to get champion, and we'll do whatever it takes to get to champion. So I'm more than happy to avoid people, because I'm under no illusions that I'm at the same level as Near. That's just, that's almost guaranteed lost RP. That's not worth it. But this time around, we've got 2 months. This season, beta season 3, we've got 2 months to go until May the 31st. We're in no rush. So the people that I was avoiding, actually, they're the best learning opportunities. The only way that I'm really going to cross that ocean and understand what make players like Tempest and Near and Logic so good is to play them. So instead of avoiding them this season, maybe when I have the opportunity, I should be trying to snipe them instead. If I see Logic online, I should be trying to get matched up with them. I'm not going to enjoy losing, but I also enjoy learning the game. And the only way I'm going to, find out how they're so good is to play them a lot. If someone comes up to me in this new season and says, would you like to play Near 50 times in a row? My ego is going to be like, oh my god, that sounds like hell on earth. That's going to be horrible. I'm going to come out of that feeling like absolute rubbish. But the other side of me is going to be like, imagine how much information you could get out of playing Near 50 times in a row. Like the moves he makes, would you make the same moves? Why would you make those moves, or why wouldn't you make the same moves he makes? And then looking at how the turns develop, did he make the right move? Why did he make the right move? Were there cards that I didn't consider that I can now see that I should have considered? Is it purely the matchup? For 50 matches, I'm not going to play the same deck. He may or may not play the same deck, but at least part of the learning opportunity would be I'd deliberately be playing different types of deck to see what he did differently, so that I could then learn how to play differently in consideration of different metas and opponents and decks. I've written be humble, but I think that's already, I've already talked about this. It's also connected to the ocean thing. Like, I made it to champion, and no one can take that. Like, if anyone was like, oh, you're not a champion, I'd be like, no, actually, that run was real. Like, if you go on a run where you're beating an Eric, you're beating Malgains, if you're beating Myth, then, it's not like you're messing around. If you're beating Magica, if you're beating Erebear, that you can't take that away. I am a champion. I made it to champion. But at the same time, I should be humble about this, because it is just not remotely comparable. Out of all the champions that there have been in Mythgard, I might be the weakest champion, and I say that honestly. That's not me being self-deprecating. I think honestly, out of all the players that have made it to champion, I could be the weakest. If someone beats me in a casual, I don't know, it's going to annoy me because now that I've got the champion tag, people are going to think it's special to beat me. Even in casual, you know, like, I mean, I managed to beat Nier in casual once and I was over the moon about it. But now I'm looking at it from the perspective like, well, I'm in champion. It was amazing beating Nier, but he was probably messing around. It was a casual match. People ascribe, you know, weight to the champion tag. I'm not. Also, apparently now that I've reached champion, you know, Ejecti is actually going to have to listen to things that I say. So instead of messing around and making jokes all the time, I might actually have to say things that are reasonable, or at least just stop talking rubbish all the time, which I'm not going to enjoy. Yeah, I mean, second thing in terms of the new season is what we going to do about Cruel TK. Like the original yellow green. Currently, I'm playing yellow green orange because that seems to be the most efficacious version. You know, I experimented all over the place, but yellow green with a splash of orange for Die Benediction really was just the best. Even after, you know, all those runs on the Cruel TK playlist, yellow, green, orange eventually just clearly was the best. But there's a question of, well, what are we going to do with it in this season? Because I already feel confident I can make it to champion. Making it to champion with Cruel TK orange wouldn't give me anything. I wouldn't get anything out of there. So what am I going to do with it? And I think the whole reason that I started uploading videos for Cruel TK and my journey with the deck, you know, like my bit, you know, like just my history of developing the deck and the changes I made and why I made them was a learning tool. I did that in the first place because I was learning the game and I was trying to learn what was effective, what wasn't effective, while speaking out loud, so I could, you know, watch the videos back, or if things went wrong or I went on a losing streak, I could see the reasons why I made changes and I could evaluate, well, were those good reasons or was I not taking into account other factors and the reason is actually quite poor. So I really should have done better. So this time around, you know, it's not so much a learning tool for the game. I think we'll be using Cruel TK this season more to learn this new patch and the new expansion. I don't know when the expansion's coming out, but I think Cruel TK is our best tool for learning the patch and the expansion because it's something we've played so much, it's a constant. And the best way of experimenting is to keep all the other variables the same or try and keep them as similar as possible and just change one variable at a time. So it's easier to distinguish exactly why the result is the result it is. So if I play Cruel TK, I know exactly what the deck can do. I know what I can do with it, and I know the sorts of things that I can expect from the deck. And by keeping the deck the same and playing the way that I would normally play it, the differences that have been exhibited due to the patch, it should be clearer based in terms of win rate, in terms of how we win games, how quickly we win games, in terms of the types of decks we come up against. So instead of just a learning tool for learning the game, I think this season I'm going to use Cruel TK as a tool for learning the meta and the expansion. Perhaps I have been thinking ever since I said it, but I was saying that, you know, instead of avoiding players, because we've got 2 months, we've got plenty of time, we should be looking for learning opportunities. And I'm also considering, well, imagine how many more learning opportunities we could have had if I'd just gone to champion earlier. Like I made Mithril 2-3 weeks ago at this point. I made Mithril 2-3 weeks before the end of the season. So apparently I could have gone to champion. I was happy with Mithril. I was over the moon with Mithril. And I was just playing around. I was playing in casual. You know, I wasn't too bothered. I was sort of waiting for, you know, the new expansion and stuff. I was quite happy with that. But if I'd made it to champion, you know, I'd had a week or two in champion instead of 2 minutes, then I would have gotten matched up with more champion players. And Was I really the best player I could be at the end of this season? I mean, it's hard to say yes, because if I'd gone up to champion the week before and then I'd played in champion for a bit, I would have played tougher competition, playing meta decks or highly successful variants of very successful decks. And I'd have gained more experience, and I'd probably be a better player now. So I've missed out on a learning opportunity. So I'm not sure if I will definitively do it, but I think I need to at least consider in the new season, is it worth pushing for champion early or not? Like, what exactly are my goals in the game? Is my goal in the game to just be the best player possible? Because if so, I should try and get into champion quite quickly. I'm not going to say very quickly, because very quickly just means I'd just play yellow, red and get back into champion again. But I wouldn't gain as much from the climb. I'd rather find a new deck or try new things or experiment and just find other ways. I like Ping, which is the Kadeho deck, actually. GM uploaded it onto Hub. So. Or, well, I mean, Cruel Tech is swearing that, I've called it the Promised Land, because I was at Mithril 9 at the time, and he was swearing that this deck would get me to champion. And it could get me to champion. The value isn't in getting me to champion, because I can get to champion. There are decks I can get to champion with. I'm more than comfortable knowing my ability to get to champion. It's more about learning opportunities. I've played a lot of yellow, but I haven't played a lot of orange. And I've played very little, very, very little Aztec control. I'm not sure if I've played any. So, Ping and Promised Land. Would that make me a better player? Like, is it better to just rush to champion, or am I supposed to be trying to find my deck for this season? Would that be more helpful? I suppose it's a question of, would I improve my foundations if I took my time and slowly tried to develop things for myself? Or would I improve my fundamentals by getting to champion so that I'm playing tougher competition more often and I'm tested more on my skill? Which, my skill is not that high, but I mean, the only way to improve is probably to play more. Probably connected to that, other paths and powers as well. I mean, honestly, there's a common theme among all these decks, and it's Turn of Seasons. My very first deck was Turn of Seasons. Turn of Seasons is probably the path that I play the most. Impel is probably the power I play the most. It's a new season. Why not learn new things, right? Like, I did play Rainbow Rush for a bit, and I sucked. I was terrible. So, while I'm being honest with myself, maybe I should set myself a challenge this season and try and get to champion with Rainbow or Disc. Because I suck with Disc and I suck with Rainbow, and it is really bad. Should I handicap myself in the same way that Laser is deciding to get to champion with an aggro deck this season? Maybe, instead of rushing to champion, should I handicap myself in order to learn more? Or could I just get to champion and then try and play a Rainbow deck in champion? Would I really get anything from that? I don't know. I might get crushed so quickly in matches because I don't know how to play Rainbow. It'd just be pointless. I don't know. They're not definitive goals for next season, but they're considerations. I can look back at this video and just consider what exactly I want out of the season. Also, I've only just realised, but I've been saying this whole time, like, as champions go, we scraped in, and there are champions, and there are champions, and there's an ocean of difference between us and I mean, we're talking specifically about players like Nier, because that's the greatest skill disparity. So it's easier to sort of exaggerate the difference and just say, well, there's us, and then there's Nier. In the champion ranks, there's just like the difference between the worst and the best is greater than any other ranked. But it also engenders the question, well, why did we win then? Like, these matches here, I've got wins against Tune, Malgains, Oneric, Erobert. Like, if if I can in full confidence say that, you know, these are players that aren't just champions, they're like genuine, like they're just extremely skilled players. But why specifically did I win then? Why did I win against MK White? 50 RP by the way, the only 50 RP we got here. I mean, why specifically did we win? I suppose I should think about that, while I'm just throwing out all my thoughts. That is the biggest question, right? So I think the obvious answer is just we wanted it. That is the obvious answer. Like, we want it, I mean, did Madoka really care at this point? I'm not sure if Myth really cared at this point. I think later on in the run, Myth maybe cared a little bit about gatekeeping. I think he wanted the prestige, a little bit of stopping me from getting to champ. I don't know. But, I mean, I think to a large degree, like I could pick anyone. Let's be honest, I could just pick anyone. But I mean, why did I beat Oneric? Probably just because when I went into the match, I was driven and I had an actual goal. Like I really wanted to get to champion. I was absolutely determined to get to champion. And for Oneric, it was just another game. There's nothing special about me. So he was playing, and he's a skilled player. But I was really trying to go into overdrive, trying to work out what he was playing, how he was playing it, what he might be playing in the turns coming up, what I might be able to play to counter what he was playing in the turns coming up. And I think that made up to some degree for the skill disparity. Is I went into that match and I really, really wanted to win. And there's no nice way of saying this. I think Oneric was slightly complacent, and I think that's proven by the fact that, some players, like the real beasts like Nauka or Nier. Nier isn't complacent because he's in champion. I think some people get to champion and they're just a little bit complacent, or they're in ranked but they're just trying stuff out. But they're not dying to win the match. They don't absolutely want to win the match. But Nier wants to crush you. So I think that's the most obvious answer for why we won a lot of these matches. What else? Probably our willingness to adapt. We won matches, but then we lost at the start of the run, and then slowly as it got on, and I do think I became a better player as we played more and more and more, which makes sense. That's completely logical. Of course, I became a better player by playing ranked and playing great players in top decks. But our ability to adapt when the patch hit is a large part of why we went on big runs and we were actually climbing. This is all largely due to the fact that the patch hit, we had to take a step back, assess how likely it was that we would reach champion and exactly what the patch had done. Then of all the decks that were out there since the patch had come out, like Rainbow Rush and Laser's version of Yellow Red, Lord of the Rings, NKL's deck, we then had to assess which deck was the best, or at least was the best for us, or gave us the best chance of climbing to champion, and then learn it on the fly. So we had to adapt to deck changes very quickly. We had to adapt to players very quickly. I've already talked about the fact, I'm quite proud of the fact that Myth beat me with a deck that I had just never seen before. It came out of left field, and just smashed me. But the second time I played Myth, even struggling as I was able to divine the keys to winning the match. And we got the win. We were capable of adapting against the same opponent playing the same deck. We played the match better the second time around. So we were capable of adapting that as well. So we wanted it more. We were willing to adapt. We were honest with ourselves, I suppose you could say. I had no illusions during this run about my own skill level or what I thought was good or why players beat me. I didn't have time to have any illusions. I couldn't sort of lose a match and then just say, oh, well, you know, I got unlucky. Anytime that I was like, okay, well, that was RNG, the follow-up thought was always, honestly, was that RNG or could you have done something? Even if we won a match, honestly, was that the best you could have played? Are there moves you could have made that were better than the moves that you made? You know, just my ability throughout the run, I was under no illusions and I was accurate too. Like, I was honest with myself. I felt we had a great chance of getting into champion if I didn't run into just the beast in the night. Like, you know, I mean, I played NKL once. That was enough for me. You know, I've never played Cruel Tech, but it should be no secret that I had no interest in playing Cruel Tech during this run. You know, I don't want anything to do with them. I know where I'm at. I know how I can get to champion. I can see the route to champion, but I can't afford to, you know, be pretentious. I have to be very accurate about my own skill level relative to others and what I can or can't do. That also includes stuff like going on tilt, like, you know, two Thacker. Couldn't get rid of them. Just saying no, stop. Like, you're losing your mind here. Like, this is bad. You need to stop. Even if time is running out and you're feeling the pressure, and what you really need to do, or what it really feels like you need to do right now, is play games. You need to play games. You've got a strict time limit and it's really, really short. You need to get games in. You need to keep playing. You've got a deck that works. You need to keep playing. The ability to say, honestly, this is a bad time and we are tilting, even if it's like almost physically painful to not play because we're losing, you know, half an hour that we could be playing and we could be climbing. And time is so valuable to us right now. We have to step away, even if we really don't want to. We need to get away right now. Because otherwise we're just going to dig a ditch that we can't get out of. We're already digging a hole. I mean, I lost a whole rank to 2-Thacker before I just stopped completely. Why else did we win? I mean, I already sort of like talked about this to some degree. I've only just realised I sort of talked about this when I was talking about, you know, the last matches that I was in. You know, my ability to adapt. Flockle was more, why did I win? Well, I think because some players lost. In so much as I didn't crumble in a lot of matches. I didn't get crushed by the pressure or make mistakes because people were watching. But I only really realised afterwards that other players were under pressure too. And honestly, Flockle didn't lose to me. You know, they lost to the pressure. They didn't lose to me. They just lost because they had a chance to gatekeep and keep me out of champ. And, you know, in the moment, maybe they were nervous, whatever it was though. But we didn't need to win that match. We just needed to not lose that match. We just needed to let Flockle sort of well, I mean, it's cool to say. I didn't know that was going to happen. But looking back at the matches, it's not just Flockle. It's a bit cruel to keep mentioning one player, to be honest. It happened in other matches as well. But other players were under pressure and other players were trying to climb when we were trying to climb as well and trying to reach champ or mithril, whatever they were trying to reach. Other people were feeling the pressure too. And we won because we dealt with that pressure constantly for 4 days. And by the end of it, we were handling it as well as I think is reasonable to expect. I can't. There are probably like a million reasons why we won, and I'm sure I'm missing so much. This video is more just a summary and to try and exposit. I'm not sure if that's a word, is it? I don't know. We'll just go with it. And to exposit, oh, we'll just go with extrapolate. Yeah, just to try and extrapolate all of the information we can, just so we can internalize it later. And look back at it, confirmation of what we did right and wrong, how I was thinking about the run, how I was feeling about the run, what I think about the run, 24 hours later. Do I think I did well or badly, or did I get lucky? Also, this is quite funny. I've got to throw like a small shout out here. But apparently, due to this, I've got a lot more followers. I don't even, I don't know some of these people. So just a quick shout out. But Ballsy was my first ever follower, and Ballsy has been following me since before it was cool to follow me. So also he did give me a bit of moral support in Discord. So thank you, Ballsy. I really was smiling quite a bit when he said he made it to champion as well. Ballsy recruit became ballsy champion. That is for sure. Also, apart from followers, which apparently I'm popular. I don't know. This is a surprising number of followers considering I've never actually streamed anything. Yeah. I already had Ejectee, Stranded, and Cruel Tech on my list, but I was playing NKO as well. I think my following list is, apart from when I'm trying to avoid people or snipe them, is more just like a Hall of Fame. And it's just, I've played Stranded so many times. I keep running into him in casual, and he's just an incredible player. Cruel Tech's an incredible player. Ejectee's an incredible player. I was playing NKL and playing his deck and playing against him. It is quite funny though. Because on Discord, people like to say that he's like one of the best champions, but he's also one of the laziest. So I went to his profile to spectate some of his games, and just see what I could learn, especially about yellow red. I didn't have time at the time to watch. I had to play. I had to learn while I was playing. I didn't have time to watch anyone else. But now that it's over, I've gone back through replays. I've been trying to learn how to actually play the deck the way it's intended to be played. How the creator intended to create the deck. So I went to his profile. You can see why people called him lazy. He had 3 matches 2 days ago. Then he had 3 matches 3 days ago. 2 matches for yeah, this isn't Tempest level bulk, is it? 5 days ago and then 2 months ago. NKL is a fantastic player. I don't know how good he's going to be as a learning resource a lot of the time. Because what are you even supposed to? 2 matches a day. I don't know. I'm sure I'll learn a lot from him. He's on my following list anyway, especially after this. I think that's it. all I could think of at the end was shouting out to Ballsy for being my first follower, because the social aspect makes me laugh a bit. If I ever do go on Twitch, I think the only title I could possibly put on my Twitch stream would have to be Ballsy related content, because he's insisting that the way you get followers is to post Ballsy related content. So I can only hope that Ballsy likes it. I don't know. It's weird even saying it. Oh my word, he's like the permanent underdog. That's it though. I've thought of everything I can possibly think of off the top of my head. I'm sure there are other things that I probably should have written something down before I just started talking, so I had some sort of structure. But I think it went okay. I think as a summary of the run overall and what we learned from this season, I think this is a good basis for how we can then go forward into the next season.